The air in Leo's dorm room was thick with the scent of stale pizza and the frantic clicking of his mechanical keyboard. He was mid-raid, live-streaming to a few hundred viewers, and his world had narrowed to the pixels on his screen. He barked orders for his support to follow him, his voice raw through the headset. A split second later, the door to his room flew open with a force that rattled the posters on the wall, the wood slamming against the plaster with a deafening crack. The entire desk shuddered. Leo whipped his head around, a curse on his lips. Caleb Vance stood in the doorway, his face unnaturally pale, his gaze sharp and cold as it locked onto Leo. In the corner, Leo's two roommates, who had been stealthily poaching his DoorDash order, froze. A half-eaten meatball slid from a pair of chopsticks and rolled across the dusty floor. Through Leo's headset, his teammate's voice was a tinny shriek, questioning if he was lagging, begging him not to go AFK. Leo's mind struggled to process the scene. Caleb Vance, the untouchable golden boy of the computer science department, a walking legend from the neighboring university, had no business being here. Their worlds were galaxies apart. Before Leo could form a coherent thought, Caleb had crossed the small room in 3 long strides. He slapped a single sheet of paper down on Leo's keyboard. He announced that he was pregnant, and that the child was Leo's. Leo's gaze drifted from Caleb's bloodless face, down to his perfectly flat stomach, then back to the paper. Black text on white paper. Words like maternity clinic and positive HCG swam before his eyes. The mouse slipped from his numb fingers, clattering to the floor. He stammered, questioning the very laws of biology. A man couldn't get pregnant. A humorless smile twisted Caleb's lips. He seized the collar of Leo's hoodie, his grip so tight it lifted Leo partially out of his gaming chair. He accused Leo of trying to abandon his responsibilities. The microphone, still active, broadcasted every single word. The frantic shouting from his teammates died instantly, replaced by a silence so profound it was almost physical. After a beat, a choked scream erupted in his ears. His teammate stammered, asking who Caleb was, asking if it was the Caleb Vance, asking how in God's name Leo had managed this. The world seemed to fall silent. His teammate's voice came through again, a horrified whisper, informing him that the live chat was exploding. The stream, a wave of ice water surged up Leo's spine. He had been live this entire time. The room tilted. Caleb, hearing the teammate's words, went rigid, his face darkening to a shade of furious crimson. He ordered Leo to turn it off. Leo's hands fumbled over the keyboard, a chaotic mess of panicked keystrokes, until he finally managed to kill both the streaming software and the game client. The sudden quiet was a relief. His roommates had turned to stone, their eyes wide with the terror of witnesses to a secret they were never meant to hear. Leo found his voice, insisting it had to be some kind of sick joke. Caleb took a deep, shuddering breath, visibly forcing himself to calm down. He released Leo's hoodie, and Leo collapsed back into his chair. Caleb turned away, a faint, unnatural blush coloring the tips of his ears. It was a dare, he muttered. When Leo asked him to repeat it, Caleb whipped back around, his voice rising in panicked frustration. He explained that he'd lost a game of truth or dare, and this was the punishment. He shook the lab report, the motion agitated and furious. Only then did Leo see it clearly. The paper was cheap, the ink slightly smeared, the font skewed. It was a crude, homemade prop. So he wasn't pregnant. It was a fake, a prank. Caleb's face shifted through shades of white and red. He managed a single, mortified grunt of confirmation. Leo, still processing the image of Caleb's earlier performance, the icy despair, the raw accusation, asked why he had been so convincing. Caleb shot back, asking how he was supposed to know Leo was live streaming. One of his roommates finally unfroze, gasping for air. He clutched his chest, saying Caleb had nearly given them a heart attack. The other roommate sagged in his chair, muttering about how intense their dares were. The truth was out. No baby, no medical miracle, just an absurdly elaborate prank that had gone spectacularly publicly wrong. Leo didn't know whether to laugh or cry. The image of Caleb Vance, the campus ice prince, being forced to act out a soap opera cliché with a fake pregnancy test, all for his live audience, was too much. A snort escaped him. He tried to stifle it, but the more he looked at Caleb's expression of pure, unadulterated humiliation, the harder it became. The snort turned into a low chuckle, then erupted into a full-blown, table-slapping roar of laughter. Tears streamed down his face as he gasped for breath between fits of hysterics. Caleb's face was thunderous. He ordered Leo to stop laughing, but Leo couldn't. He apologized through his laughter, saying Caleb's performance had been Oscar-worthy, and that the trolls in his stream were probably losing their minds. The mention of the stream made his laughter die in his throat. He sat up straight, his face falling. Caleb's expression froze, too. They had both just remembered. The entire insane exchange had happened live. The entire internet probably now believed that Caleb Vance was carrying Leo's child. Leo scrambled for his phone, telling Caleb to check his. The campus subreddit, Instagram, anywhere. Caleb fumbled for his own device. The moment his screen lit up, his face went ashen. He didn't have to look. Push notifications exploded across his lock screen. Bombshell. Is Ayus Caleb Vance pregnant? Father allegedly rival esports captain. Shocking. Gamers livestream derailed by baby mama drama, except the mama is a man. He opened the university's notorious subreddit. The front page was a sea of posts about them. The comments refreshed at a dizzying speed. A mix of disbelief, crude jokes, and demands for the VOD. Caleb's knuckles were white as he gripped his phone. Leo's own phone began to vibrate incessantly, a cacophony of texts, DMs, and calls. His roommates peered over, sucked in a breath, and offered their condolences for his impending social death. They stared at each other, a shared look of pure despair in their eyes. This was a catastrophe. Leo asked what they should do. Caleb closed his eyes, and when he opened them again, they were filled with cold, grim determination. They had to debunk it. He told Leo they were going to make a statement together right now. Leo was still dazed, questioning if anyone would even believe it was a dare. Caleb shot back, asking if Leo would prefer they announce a phantom pregnancy. The tips of his ears were red again. Leo immediately surrendered. A minute later, they were sitting side by side in front of Leo's PC. He logged back into his streaming platform, took a deep breath, and hit go live. Viewers flooded in instantly, the chat scrolling so fast it was an unreadable blur. The questions were relentless. Was it true? Where was the baby? Leo cleared his throat and leaned into the mic, trying to sound as sincere as possible as he explained that it was all a huge misunderstanding. Caleb, his face a stony mask, added two clipped words: a dare. The chat paused for a fraction of a second, then exploded with even more skepticism. They demanded proof. Caleb, looking like he'd rather be anywhere else on Earth, reluctantly pulled the crumpled paper from his pocket and flashed it at the camera for a split second. But it was long enough. The internet sleuths went to work screenshotting and zooming. Someone pointed out the clinic's name was misspelled. Another noticed a typo in the medical terminology. The tide began to turn, slowly. But many remained unconvinced, arguing that a fake prop was easy to prepare. They demanded Caleb swear on it. Caleb, seeing their resolve, took a deep breath. He swore that if he was lying, he would fail every single one of his major courses for the semester. The chat went wild. For a scholar like Caleb, this was the ultimate oath. The mood shifted towards belief. In a fit of solidarity, Leo blurted out his own oath. If any of it was real, he would lose his next 100 ranked matches and be stuck in his current tier forever. The chat erupted with laughter. Finally, the wave of disbelief broke, replaced by a flood of LOLs and questions about who had come up with such a brutal dare. A highlighted comment from a well-known esports gossip blogger cut through the noise, asking Caleb with whom he had been playing truth or dare. The question was sharp, reigniting the chat's curiosity. Caleb's breath hitched, a flicker of panic in his eyes. He couldn't very well admit he was playing a drinking game with his fraternity brothers. His pristine image would be shattered. Seeing him hesitate, Leo jumped in, trying to deflect with humor, joking about the trauma and the cost of a new mouse. The viewers weren't buying it. Caleb glanced at Leo, then faced the camera, his expression hardening. It was a club social, he stated flatly. He'd lost. The punishment was to randomly pick an esports captain from a rival university and perform the scene. He then added, with icy precision, that the person who suggested the idea was his club's social chair, and asked if the chat wanted his student ID number. The deflection worked. The chat pivoted to roasting the anonymous social chair. While some still questioned the randomness of him picking Leo, the immediate crisis seemed to have been averted. Caleb declared the misunderstanding clarified and, without another word, reached over and ended the stream. The room was quiet again. He and Leo looked at each other and let out a long, exhausted sigh. Leo tentatively suggested that Caleb should probably head home and rest. Caleb didn't move. His eyes fell on the broken mouse on the floor. He bent down, picked it up, and handed it to Leo, stating that it was broken. Leo quickly said it was fine, that he needed a new one anyway. Caleb ignored him, pulled out his phone, and told Leo to send him the model number. He was paying for it. Leo tried to refuse, but Caleb was insistent. Leo relented, telling him the model. A moment later, his phone buzzed with a Venmo notification. The amount was enough to buy the top-of-the-line version. Caleb called it compensation for emotional distress and apologized for the stream incident. An apology from the Ice Prince. Leo was stunned. He mumbled that it was fine, that he'd even gained a lot of followers from it. Caleb seemed to have completed his mission and turned to leave. Leo called out for him to wait. Caleb turned, an eyebrow raised. Leo, holding up his phone with a hopeful grin, suggested that since he had been such a good sport, they should exchange numbers. Just in case, he added quickly, another dare required his cooperation. Caleb's eyes narrowed dangerously. Leo hastily added that he could also ask for help with his coding classes. Caleb stared at him for a long moment before silently holding out his phone. A QR code displayed on the screen. Leo scanned it in a flash. The contact name was a simple C. The profile picture was blank. As the door closed behind Caleb, one of Leo's roommates spoke up, his voice laced with suspicion. He didn't think the story was that simple. A random dare, a paid-for mouse, a willing exchange of numbers. It didn't sound like the Caleb Vance they'd all heard stories about. Leo looked down at the Stark, new contact in his phone, and felt a strange knot of doubt. Caleb's behavior had been logical, yet something about it felt off. Before he could dissect it, his phone rang, blasting his ringtone into the quiet room. The caller ID read Mom. A fresh wave of dread washed over him. He answered, and was met with his mother's voice. a mixture of tears and fury. She demanded to know when he had gotten Caleb Vance pregnant, shouting that his father was already at the store buying organic chicken to make a nourishing broth. Leo tried desperately to explain, his voice cracking, insisting it was a joke, a prank, that Caleb was a man. His mother wasn't listening. She said she'd seen the screenshots, that Caleb looked pale and distraught, that it had to be real. She told him to stop making excuses and bring that poor boy home immediately. The line went dead. Leo stood, phone in hand, utterly defeated. His roommates were shaking with suppressed laughter. Just then, his phone buzzed with a new text from C. It was a link to the university subreddit to a thread titled, "An in-depth analysis, the real truth behind the Caleb Vance pregnancy hoax." Below the link was a single question mark. Leo clicked it. The post was a long, convoluted conspiracy theory suggesting the dare was a cover-up. The author argued that Caleb really did have something to tell Leo, but panicked when he realized he was on a live stream. The proof? Caleb's genuinely desperate expression. The comments were a war zone of believers and debunkers. Another text from C came through. "Your home address." Leo nearly dropped his phone again. He asked why. Caleb replied that he was coming over to clarify things with Leo's parents. Leo frantically texted back that it wasn't necessary, that he could handle it. Caleb's response was chilling. "The soundproofing in your building is poor. I heard your mother's phone call. She was very loud and descriptive." He had heard the entire thing about the organic chicken broth. "Give me the address," the next text read, "unless you want the entire extended family to hear the news." Leo surrendered, sending his address. The reply was immediate. "Campus Gate. 1 hour. Don't be late." Leo felt like a man on death row. He explained the situation to his roommates, who could only look at him with a mixture of awe and pity. This was escalating far beyond a simple prank. An hour later, Leo saw Caleb waiting by the university gate. He had changed into a simple white shirt and dark slacks, looking impossibly clean and composed. In his hand, however, was a ridiculously fancy gift box of artisanal chocolates, slightly undermining his icy demeanor. The car ride to his suburban home was silent and suffocating. Caleb, staring out the window, finally spoke, stating that since this situation was his fault, it was his responsibility to resolve it completely. He seemed tense. As they pulled up to his house, Leo saw his father waiting on the porch, wearing an apron and holding a spatula. Upon seeing them, his father's face broke into a huge, welcoming grin. He yelled into the house that they had arrived, then hurried over to greet them, his eyes full of warm approval for Caleb. He took the box of chocolates with effusive thanks, chiding Leo for not helping their guest. Leo's dad had seemingly forgotten all about his earlier rage. His mom rushed out, her eyes red-rimmed, and immediately fussed over Caleb, pressing a plate of sliced fruit into his hands and completely ignoring her own son. Leo tried again to insist it was all a misunderstanding, but his parents waved him off. Caleb then, with perfect, solemn politeness, addressed his parents. He apologized sincerely for the joke and the trouble it had caused. He bowed slightly. Leo's parents rushed to reassure him that it was fine, that young people had their fun, that they had overreacted. Leo watched, dumbfounded. The storm had passed just like that, but the interrogation that followed was worse. His mother, her eyes gleaming with curiosity, asked Caleb why, out of all the people to choose for the dare, he had chosen their Leo. The soul-crushing question was back. Caleb, without missing a beat, replied that it was a random selection. The meal that followed was surreal. His parents treated Caleb like a prospective son-in-law, piling his plate with food and asking about his studies, while shooting Leo looks of disappointment. It felt less like a damage control mission and more like a bizarre blind date. After dinner, on the walk back to the street to call a cab, Leo thanked Caleb for coming, apologizing for his parents' intensity. Caleb simply said they seemed like nice people. The silence stretched again. As a cab pulled up, Caleb paused before getting in. He turned to Leo and apologized again for the whole mess. Leo waved it off, saying it was over. Caleb nodded, and as he got into the car, Leo watched him go, feeling a profound sense of relief. The crazy, chaotic day was finally over. But it wasn't. When he walked back into his house, his parents were sitting on the sofa, their expressions serious. His mom patted the cushion next to her. She asked him, in a gentle, conspiratorial whisper, if he had a crush on Caleb. Leo almost jumped out of his skin, vehemently denying it. His dad then reminded him of a time he'd gotten drunk and spent the whole night mumbling about how brilliant and handsome Caleb was. His mom added that she knew about the secret folder on his computer, the one filled with candid photos of Caleb she'd found while trying to fix his printer. Leo was mortified. He tried to explain it was just admiration, like a fan and a celebrity, but his parents exchanged a knowing, triumphant look. They told him they weren't old-fashioned, that they understood, and that if he really liked Caleb, they would support him. They had completely misinterpreted the situation, believing the dare was just a cover for a secret romance. His phone rang, a lifeline from his team manager. He used the excuse of an emergency training session to flee the house, his parents calling after him to bring Caleb home for dinner again soon. Back at the team house, his teammates mercilessly teased him. Later that night, he lay in bed and saw a text from Caleb. Home? Leo replied yes, then, feeling bold, asked how Caleb explained the situation to his friends. The reply was typically blunt, told the truth. They can believe it or not. On an impulse, Leo texted, "Thanks again for today. And the chocolates. I can pay you back for them." The reply took a moment. Not necessary. The conversation seemed to be over, but then another message appeared. You play mirror. It was a statement, not a question. Leo, surprised, confirmed he was a nationally ranked jungle main. Caleb's reply was almost a compliment. I saw your stream. Your mechanics are decent. Decent? Leo's pride was a little stung. He bragged about his high-elo gameplay. Caleb's critique was swift and academic. Good prediction, but your micro-actions have a delay post-peak hand speed. Skill combos could be tighter. Leo was humbled. He jokingly called him Professor Caleb and invited him to inspect his work again sometime. The final reply before the chat went silent was 2 words. We'll see. In the days that followed, a new routine formed. Leo would send Caleb memes, gameplay clips, and daily updates. Caleb's replies remained short, but they were consistent. Slowly, the responses grew longer. He offered critiques on Leo's gameplay, and once, when Leo complained about the cafeteria food, Caleb mentioned his own university's cafeteria was good, and that Leo should try it sometime. The invitations started. A movie, a practice match, a dessert shop. Caleb accepted everyone. The awkward silences were replaced by a comfortable rhythm. The fateful day finally arrived when Leo brought Caleb home for real. His parents were ecstatic, their earlier conspiracy theories vindicated in their minds as they entered what Leo's mother termed the prospective mother-in-law phase. Everything was going well until the week before playoffs. Leo's training schedule became brutal, and his texts to Caleb grew sparse. He noticed Caleb's replies becoming clipped again, a familiar coldness seeping back in. He'd been neglecting him. The night before their first playoff match, He saw a text from Caleb sent hours earlier. "Good luck tomorrow." Leo called him immediately, apologizing. Caleb's voice was cool, but he denied being upset. He said he would watch the live stream. The next day, at the arena, Leo scanned the crowd out of habit, a familiar pang of disappointment in his chest. The match was a brutal, drawn-out battle. Before the final, decisive game, he looked up at the main screen, and his heart stopped. There, in a corner of the VIP section, sat Caleb. He had come. Their eyes met across the roaring stadium. Caleb saw him looking and mouthed two words: "Good luck." A fire ignited in Leo's veins. He played the game of his life. Every move was perfect, every decision flawless. It was as if he could see the entire game map laid out in his mind. When the victory screen flashed, the arena erupted. Leo ripped off his headset, celebrated with his team, but his eyes were locked on Caleb, who was standing and applauding, a clear smile on his face. He couldn't wait. Ignoring the cameras, the officials, and his stunned teammates, Leo jumped off the stage and pushed his way through the crowd, running towards Caleb. He stopped in front of him, breathless and sweating. The noise of the world faded away. He asked Caleb if, since he'd won the game, he could claim a prize. Caleb looked confused. Leo stepped closer, his voice low but clear. He wanted to kiss him. Right now. The people nearby who heard him went silent, staring. Caleb's eyes widened, a deep blush flooding his face. He looked shocked, cornered, and utterly flustered. For a moment that stretched into an eternity, he just stared. Then, under the gaze of 1,000 people, Caleb's long eyelashes fluttered, and he slowly, deliberately, closed his eyes. A wave of pure joy washed over Leo. He cupped Caleb's face in his hands and leaned in, pressing his lips to Caleb's. The arena, after a moment of stunned silence, exploded into a roar of cheers, whistles, and applause that was louder than any game-winning moment. Flashes went off like fireworks. In that moment, all Leo could feel was the soft press of Caleb's lips and the frantic beating of his own heart. When he pulled back, he rested his forehead against Caleb's, their breathing ragged. He whispered that the deal was sealed. Caleb was his now. Caleb slowly opened his eyes, dazed and flushed, and without a word, buried his face in Leo's shoulder. Later, walking hand in hand through the quiet streets behind the stadium, Leo asked the question that had been burning in his mind for weeks. When did Caleb really first notice him? Caleb glanced at him, the starlight reflecting in his dark eyes. A small, sly smile touched his lips. He said it was probably a little bit before Leo started saving pictures of him on his computer. Leo stopped dead, completely stunned. How did he know? Caleb's smile widened. He reminded Leo of a guest lecture he'd given at Leo's university a year ago. Leo had been in the front row, and he had forgotten to turn off his phone screen. His lock screen had been a candid photo of Caleb walking across campus. Leo groaned, realizing his social death had been predestined from the very beginning. Caleb just laughed, squeezed his hand, and pulled him along, continuing their walk into the night.